Welcome to a Millennial's Guide to Real Estate Investing. Here is your host, Antoine Martel.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I wanted to get on here today and just talk a little bit more to you guys about what I have been doing over the last couple of weeks and some things that I have figured out. As many of you guys know, I do own a flipping business or a turnkey business, whatever you want to call it, where I buy properties, renovate them, rent them out, and then I sell them on my website to a bunch of clients that I've had over the years, and also new clients who come to buy turnkey rentals from me that are already renovated, already rented out for cash flow. And the markets that I'm investing in are mostly in the Midwest. So I'm in Memphis, Cleveland, Akron, St. Louis, Birmingham. And over the last, I would say 2 months, there hasn't been very many deals. I normally buy anywhere from 2 to 5 deals a month. And over the last couple of months, there hasn't been any of those deals available. And it's just because these markets over the last couple of months have had very extreme heat in the 100 plus range, 110 Fahrenheit, for these last 2 months. So many people don't want to sell and don't want to move in that extreme heat. So many homeowners have been looking for the weather to calm down before they want to move, which therefore doesn't provide me many deals. So ways that I have been getting around that is I've been doing a lot of, Facebook ads or other direct marketing to these people. And it hasn't been so successful over the last couple of months, but I have been noticing over the last couple of months that there were a lot of wholesalers who are still killing it, who are still wholesaling many deals a month. And I mostly was following them on things like Instagram and Facebook. And I would, network with these people on Instagram, send them DMs, and I would ask them how they were getting so many deals in the same markets that I was investing in, and how they were doing it and what were their tactics for those. Mostly for off-market deals, I have been doing Facebook ads, direct mail, bandit signs. I did a billboard once. Anything that you can think of, I've done already for off-market deals. And I was asking all of these wholesalers, what are you guys doing to get your deals in? And, I've done this, and this, and, kind of sharing information with them. And, 5 out of 5 of those wholesalers who I reached out to said cold calling. And that's the one thing that I haven't done in the past. And one thing that, I kind of just skipped over. I didn't really want to take the time to go and call these people, right? I wanted to call 1,000 phone numbers to get, one deal, right? But I thought it was way easier if I could just send them a letter in the mail and they call me and I buy their house, much easier process. But all these wholesalers were saying that, the direct mail is dead, and, the amount of people who give them phone calls actually is a lot less than the people who send them letters in the mail. And letters in the mail are way easier to throw out than, telling somebody on the phone who's calling about your property. And, telling them to screw off is a little bit harder than telling, just throwing out a direct mail and throwing that away. And so with that information, I already had a couple of property owners and property addresses in my system for Cleveland, Ohio, one of the neighborhoods that I invest in there. I had about 1,000 addresses and names, property owner names. So what I did is I went to... Well, first of all, I got that list on a website called listsource.com. So I want this podcast episode to be very practical. I want you, after this episode, to go and do all of these things to get more deals in your business. So I'm going to make it very practical because that's how I like it. So first thing is to collect the leads. So what I did is I went to listsource.com. I typed in the zip code where I'd like to invest in Cleveland. I paid $300 for, I think, 1,000 or a couple thousand property names and property addresses. Okay, so that's the first step, is getting that information. And there's a bunch of different searches that you can do. You can do tax default, absentee owners, property owners over 20 years. The only thing that I did is I just filtered it for people who had lived in their property, so owner occupants for over 10 years. So that's what I did for my property search on ListSource. So that's what I did. 10 years, owner occupant, listsource.com, and then download that list. And that's going to cost you probably like $300 to $500 to get that list. Now, once you get that list, which is going to be a bunch of names and a bunch of addresses, you're going to take that list and go to either reiskip.com or needtoskip.com. Both of the websites have worked pretty well for me. I've tried both of them. Need to Skip is a little bit more expensive. REI Skip is a little bit more affordable. But for you doing this the first time, maybe you want to try the one that's a little bit more affordable, and go with them. And pretty much what these two services do and what skip tracing services do in general is they look at the property owner name and the property address, and they find phone numbers or associating phone numbers. So typically they'll find the landline, then they'll find, that person's mobile number or multiple mobile numbers or their spouse's mobile number, etc. So for each property name and property address, it may pull one number, it may pull 7 different phone numbers. And your goal is to call all of those people. So now you bought that list on ListSource, you went to skip trace them, now you have all the leads. And this is exactly what I did. And then I went to voice.google.com, register a phone number with the same area code that you'll be calling. So you can even go through that whole list and see, okay, what area code shows up the most. Go to voice.google.com and get a phone number. It's absolutely free. And go and get a phone number there so that you can call through Google Voice on your phone, get the app on your phone, log into your account, and start just phone calling all of these people. And now you're, $600 in, $300 to buy that list, $300 to skip trace all those phone numbers, $600 in, and you should have probably around 1,000 addresses and, 1,200 or 1,000 phone numbers to call. Now what I did is I just went through all of those different phone numbers and just started phone calling them. My message that I would leave them if they didn't answer was something like, hello, my name is Antoine Martel, and I see that you have a home in X neighborhood. I'm looking to buy a couple of homes in the area. I can offer all cash, and I can close within 5 business days. If you have any interest in selling your home in the near future, please give me a phone call back. I would love to talk with you. This is my phone number, XXX. It was a little weird to do that because I had to cross out a bunch of information. But, pretty much leave your name, state what you're there for, know that they have a home in that neighborhood, and then leave your phone number. Typically leave your phone number twice. You're going to be calling a lot of people who are going to be using a pen and paper to write down your phone number. So that's exactly what I did. And there's also, if you use skip tracing services, they're also going to tell you if it is a landline or a mobile number. So something else I did with my Google Voice app on my computer is I went and texted I think there was in my 1,000 leads, there was like 250 mobile numbers. So I went through all the mobile numbers and I texted them all the same message. Hey, I see you own a home in X neighborhood. I'm wondering if you have any interest in selling your home in the near future. If you do, let me know, kind of thing. I think on text I left it even shorter than that, but get to the point straight. And so that's what I did. So I texted 250 people first, and then I started cold calling. And I cold called everybody. I cold called around 15 to 20 people, and then somebody picks up. And by the way, out of those 15 to 20 people, I think it was like 10 voicemails, and then 10 people told me to screw off. And then one guy called me back, and we spoke on the phone for 45 minutes. He explained to me how he used to be a real estate investor. He used to invest in real estate, and he used to own a property management company, and now he owns a bunch of rentals across the city. He knows the city like the back of his hand. He was like, well, where are you investing? Where do you own homes and stuff like that? So I started telling him exact addresses, and I was like, yeah, I bought the home on 168th. And he's like, wait, you bought that home from Jerry? You're the guy from California who bought that home from Jerry on 168th? And I'm like, yeah, I bought that home. That was earlier in the year, correct? And he's like, oh yeah, he sold it to you, and what'd you guys end up doing with it? And I was like, oh, I renovated it, put a tenant in place, and then I resold it to somebody. You can go check the records. And he's on his computer or whatever, and he looked it up, and he's like, holy crap, how'd you sell that thing for $60,000? That's amazing. So he can tell that I was legit on the phone. And again, I didn't know if this guy had any interest in selling his home. I was kind of just giving him information about what I've been doing, who I am, building rapport with him. And then he was finally like, well, so the guy who I bought a house on 168th actually owned a couple of different homes around the area. a couple blocks radius, he owned many more homes. And the guy on the phone is like, well, Jerry, who you bought that house from, actually has a house a couple of blocks away that he's looking to sell. And I said, oh, is he really? Can you give me his phone number? I'll give him a call. And so essentially what ended up happening is I cold called this guy, asked him if he was interested in selling his home. He never really answered that question. He just kind of learned more about me. And with that, he provided me a list of, he provided me this guy who did own a home in the neighborhood, who is looking to sell even more of his properties. So that's incredible, and that's amazing. How I made 20 phone calls, and I got one deal. I'm actually my team is actually going out there next week to go and check out the property and walk through it, and then we're hopefully going to buy it, because we have worked with this seller before, and he knows that we're going to close and all this kind of stuff. And now that he knows that I built some rapport with his friend as well, it's kind of funny how it all worked out. So that's pretty much the strategy that I've been using. This is probably the furthest along that I've gotten with any of these off-market deals, off-market strategies, where I've actually been on the phone with a homeowner, and they really, have an interest in selling, and, they're telling me all this information about their house. When you get a lot of phone calls back from the direct mailers or stuff like that, they're really just testing the waters, and many of them just want to sell their home for retail price or whatever. Many of those people who are distressed tend to not pick up the phone. They tend to just call an agent. They think it's going to be faster, or some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. But that's pretty much the strategy that I've been using the last 2 weeks. And then over the last couple of days, I've been making those phone calls out to those owners. Again, I did my research and, reached out to all those different wholesalers and seeing what they were doing. And this is what they've been doing. And I can see how it works, especially over time, right? So if I have that same zip code over and over and over, and I start buying deals in that neighborhood, now I call property owners next door and I have their phone number, and I can call them and say, hey, I just bought the house next door. I'm wondering if you're interested in selling your home as well. I just bought it for X amount of dollars. I can offer you the same thing. I just need to come and, verify some things in the house, and that it doesn't need that much work. It builds a little bit more rapport, because the homeowners around that neighborhood know that house just sold, especially the neighbors, right? So it builds a little bit more rapport. They know you're legit. They know you've already bought homes in an area. So it builds up a little bit more rapport to help you get a little bit better of a price and to build trust. People selling their home is not an easy thing to do. So you want to build trust and rapport as soon as you possibly can. But that's all. I hope that was helpful. I hope that was practical information. Again, just to recap, get your leads on listsource.com, $300 for about 1,000 leads. It should be. Skip trace those on REIskip or needtoskip.com. Then for your script, when you leave a voicemail, all you're going to say is, hello, my name is Antoine Martel. I see you own a home in X neighborhood. I just was giving you a call today to see if you had any interest in selling your home in the near future. And then if they do pick up the phone, typically what I say is, hello, is Emmanuel there, or whatever name, is on the list source thing that you pulled, the skip trace numbers that you have. Hello, is Carolyn there? And typically they'll be like, who is this? And then you can say, my name is Antoine Martel. I'm calling about your home and neighborhood. I'm wondering if you have any interest in selling your home in the near future. And that's all I say. Many of them will say no, thank you, not right now, fuck off. You're going to get a whole different variety of answers. For all the people who say no, I put them on a list, or the people who say fuck you too, I put them on a Google sheet, and I keep track of all of them, because that means that, the first question that I ask is, hello, is blank there? I want to verify that phone number is tied to that person, to that property owner. Once I have that validation, then I can keep calling every 3-6 months, because things change and people may not want to sell now, but maybe in 3 or 6 months they do want to sell. I just want to verify that I'm calling the right person. So that's why that first question is, hello, is blank there? And then typically they'll say, yeah, that's me. Oh, no, actually, they never say that. They say, Who is this? That's typically what I get. That's why my response that I literally have written down says, my name is Antoine Martel, and I'm calling about your home and neighborhood. So that's what I would recommend. Again, don't be too nitpicky on the time that you're calling. Don't be too nitpicky on the exact script that you're saying. Just start doing it. The more you do it over and over and over and over again, the more comfortable you'll be. Trust me, the first 20 phone calls are going to be absolutely terrible. They're absolutely terrible for everybody, okay? And don't be so nitpicky on, the target for your leads. Like, just pick something that makes sense to you, right? So, you can do tax default or call absentee owners or do homeowners over 20 years or 10 years. You can set your searches differently, and it's going to pull a different list, right? So maybe it's a better idea to, come up with your own creative list that you want to pull from listsource.com, because it'll be different than the other wholesalers who are already calling in that zip code, right? So, it's good to just come up with your own idea of what kind of person do I want to call, and how do I want those phone calls to go. If you want to just deal with investors, then pull an absentee owner list from out-of-state owners, right? If you want to talk to actual homeowners and maybe you're a local, and you live in a neighborhood and invest where you're, in an area where you live, then it may be good to call the actual homeowners, because you can actually go and build rapport and build some sort of relationship with those people. Whereas if you were local and you were calling absentee owners, it's a little bit more difficult to do so. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that was practical advice. I feel like there's not so much practical advice out there from all these gurus and stuff like that. So those are the exact steps that I've taken for this whole off-market deals finding method of cold calling. And so far, it's been super successful for me. I'm definitely going to keep phone calling. And once I get through this 1,000 phone calls, then I'm going to bring on some more people to make some more phone calls for me and just keep going and keep developing this, because it obviously is working. That's all for now. If you guys have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram, Martel Antoine. Twitter, Martel Antoine. You can shoot me an email, Antoine@martelturnkey.com. You can also go to the show notes and get all that info as well. But I hope that was helpful, guys. I definitely recommend it if you're trying to get more deals, or even if you're a wholesaler and you want to start wholesaling. This is a great strategy. Again, $600 and you have 1,000 phone calls. You got a lot of work to do. That's all. Keep hustling. Let me know if I can be of any help. Talk to you soon.